We really didn't get a chance to discuss the deleterious effects of regulations on the average person. We didn't get a chance to talk about the effect of the national debt on Fed policy and how that impacts the average American. I mean, these are important issues. Why can't we ever get to the important issues? We talk about this stuff that doesn't matter.
Would be nice to talk issues, wouldn't it? We find ourselves in a changing political time. Outsiders considered more attractive than those who understand and have worked inside the D.C. Beltway. Our next guest believes that when it comes to those who have a better idea for this country, it's because they haven't been part of the system, and that his ideas still resonate with a good part of America, regardless of what the numbers say. The numbers show that South Carolina, though, will be a turning point for his presidential campaign. Let us then welcome back to the Hardline noted neurosurgeon and Republican presidential candidate, Dr. Ben Carson. Dr. Carson, I want to thank you so much for joining us. And you did hear me allude to the South Carolina numbers here. Everybody is talking about Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, John Kasich, and others. Have you thought about what happens if indeed you don't do well in South Carolina and where you go from here?
As long as we have the support of millions of Americans, both emotionally and financially, those are the things that are important. And what you have to recognize about a political race is similar to a all-American pastime baseball. You don't call the game after the second inning. A lot of people want to call it after the second inning, but you don't.
Well, here's then the next question. Do you have enough money to go to the third inning and beyond?
Oh, absolutely. People have been absolutely fabulous, and they are imploring us not to give up. They're saying, we have a lot of strong states coming up, and there's a lot of information to be coming out, and people will be getting more serious and not just looking at the bright shiny objects in the room. And I think you can't give up before that time.
Are they imploring you to continue because perhaps, as some people have said, because of specifically your deep evangelical beliefs, you're the only candidate who can't tell a lie?
I don't know that that's the entire reason, but as people get a chance to actually look at my policies, and I always encourage them to go to bencarson.com and read them because we have detailed policy there, they realize that it makes a lot of sense. Things that people have been saying, like, you can't know anything about foreign policy, they see that that's not true. Last week I did a whole hour foreign policy forum in Gaffney, South Carolina. The only comment that people could say is, wow, I had no idea we knew so much stuff. But it's because people give these false narratives, then they don't ask any questions about these things, and, people form erroneous opinions.
Let's talk a little bit about lies and then trust specifically here. Some people, a lot of evangelicals, even I've spoken to, say that they do not feel they can trust Donald Trump. And again, because of your deep religious beliefs, do you agree with them that there's no reason to trust Donald Trump?
Well, as you know, I don't have a tendency to talk about other people very much, but I do believe that, people are so desperate at this stage. They're so frightened about our future and the future of our children, and they see such little responsiveness from the government that they're willing to overlook things that they might not overlook otherwise.
I have a couple of minutes left here, and I need to focus on a specific issue recently that's come up. In an interview with Breitbart News Daily, you said, and I quote, or you indicated that American Muslims could possibly embrace both Islamic and democratic values. That was the question asked of you. You said, and I quote, only if they're schizophrenic. I don't see how they can do it otherwise because you have two different philosophies, and a lot of Muslims and Muslim communities are enraged at this right now, that you calling them schizophrenic. Was that an accurate account of how you believe?
Yeah, what I said is, in terms of if you accept all the tenets of Islam, including Sharia, Sharia is not compatible with our Constitution and with our ways. So I don't know how you can accept both of those things without being schizophrenic. That's what I'm saying. You can't go in both directions at the same time.
Is that specifically what needs to be put in this, in that you were saying that you made these statements, yes, but you meant and you wanted to make sure that Sharia law gets put in there, correct? That's your point of this.
Well, I did say that. Sometimes they may not include everything that you said because they want to, shock you.
Let me ask you this. The Supreme Court Justice, the appointee is a possibility here. I have about 30 seconds left. How important is that next appointee, and should the Obama nominee be rejected before we even know who that person is?
Well, it's extremely important. he's going to nominate someone. There's no question about that. If for some strange reason he nominates someone who is a true constitutionalist and a fair jurist, as demonstrated by their life previously, I wouldn't have any problem looking at that. But the likelihood of him doing that, being the ideologue that he is, at least relatively small, certainly would not be indicative of what he's done in the past. And therefore, if he continues along his ideological pathway, there's no reason that they should consider adopting whatever he recommends.
Dr. Carson, I know you're busy on the campaign trail. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending a couple of minutes with us.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's go ahead and ask you then. Tell us how you think about Dr. Carson's campaign, and of course, we'll talk about it right here when we continue on The Hardline.